I believe in so much like responding to everyone and responding to all your comments, responding to all your texts, being quick, fast, and super authentic, engaging with everyone. I've had anxiety lately because I feel like I'm getting bogged down in that. And so whenever I can just talk to the nation, AKA anyone who's willing to support, thank you guys, thank you. I want to talk today about a leadership skill that I'm working on honing in that I think, if perfected, is really what can make a great leader from a good leader, which is finding the balance of when to hold people accountable, be strict, make sure that everyone's getting their stuff done, and being harder versus being softer, aka just being grateful that this employee works for you, aka just not expecting too much. Like at the end of the day, an owner is the one that cares the most, and as everyone knows, you can never expect an employee to care even remotely close to how much the owner does. And so I think the balance there is the perfection. When do you say, hey, you're not getting enough stuff done, or hey, we need more output out of you, or hey, I need to expect more out of you, versus hey, thank you so much, you're doing a great job, I can tell you're trying as hard as you can. And I think that's the hardest thing for me when growing this business right now. Is now I'm to the point where I have an operations director, I have a director of marketing, I have a secretary over HR, I have general managers of each of the stores. And my piece of the puzzle is, amongst other things, is to hold those key players accountable and to make them feel good and make them be able to do their job perfectly. And man, that's hard because I come from the dirt. I'm in there. I'm the manager. I'm the director of marketing and ops. That's where I'm coming from. That's where I came from for the last 6-7 years, starting with my snow cone chat, going all the way up through Thirst over the last 5-6 years. I've been the one. And now I'm transitioning into this position in leadership, which is hold others accountable, make other people want to be on your team, motivate others. And man, it's crazy. It's a different style of leadership for me. And a couple things that I know are for sure true about this, because full transparency is I haven't figured this out. I'm coming on here today to talk to you about what I'm figuring out in this moment and how important I know it is. I know it's important to expect enough. I know it's important, and I know that there is a time and place to say, hey, look, you're not getting done what we need you to get done. And hey, look, we need to expect more out of you. And I also know there's a place where you can't expect too much. You can't overwork someone. You can't expect someone to care or work or put in the amount of hours even remotely close to what I'm doing. And so I'm having those situations come up over and over again. And I think that I err towards the side of being quote unquote softer. I really do. I think I've not fired people when maybe other people in my company think I should have. I think I've not held people accountable for everything that was, agreed upon and expected of them. I think that's true. However, I think that every single decision as a leader in this company, every single decision I make is between me and that decision. Every single decision I make, it has a million pieces of context that only I have. Only I know the conversations I've had with that employee and the amount that's been expected of them. Only I know the sync-ups that I've had and the way that they've been feeling. Only I know the tools that they've had to be able to get that done. Only the top knows. Only the leader of that person knows. And so I think it's important, I've made a couple decisions recently that I think my team has been bothered by. Over the last year, I definitely have made decisions that other key players in my company have been bothered by. Meaning, why didn't you hold this person accountable enough? Why didn't we fire this person? And I think it's important feedback to take into account. I think it's important to be aware and think of it and really, really spend time on the decision. But at the end of the day, what I decide, I think is right. I really do. I don't think there's a blanket answer of you always need to be holding someone accountable. And no matter what, they need to get X, Y, and Z done. It's just not the case, especially in a startup where the variables are all over the place, where responsibilities are popping up left and right. It's not a blanket answer. It's not, you need to be strict in this area at this time. There's details that are going into this, and you need to take everything into account as a leader, and you need to deploy things like gratitude for that employee. You need to deploy things like awareness around what all the details and variables affecting that person was. You need to take into account how that person feels. I do think that you need to take into account how if you're making a decision, I'm talking about decisions of whether or not to fire someone based on whether or not they're doing a good performance. I really do think that you need to take into account how that person's emotions, how you think they're feeling. Like the whole, this is business and you know, we're not in that game. I don't think that. Like, I don't think that this is just business. Let me put it this way. These key executives in my company, players in my company, they've basically committed their life to Thirst. How can I ever, as the leader, make a decision on them that is not taking their emotions into account, not taking how anything but just the business decision into account? No, this is their whole life. They've committed their whole life to this. This requires a lot more thinking. I strongly disagree with business leaders to a degree saying, you know, no, it's all business. You know, you have to put the business first. No, businesses are grown by people, and the way that we grow and have strong people is taking their feelings into account. Of course, there's a balance. I don't think you go hard in one way either way, but I think being aware of this kind of decision and really being thoughtful about it is the answer. I'm learning that right now, and I'm gonna update you guys when I got a better solution for it. But I want my team to know if they're listening. I want my customers to know if they're listening. I want anyone who might want to work for me in the future know if they're listening. Like, that kind of thing is taken into account. This is not just business. This is our whole lives. I'm asking my key players to commit their whole lives to this. And how dare I not take their feelings and their life circumstances and all details into account, not just the P&L, not just their position agreement. Like, this is a lot. This is life. This is people. This is emotions. This is not just business.